Iranians rally for second day outside the UN against Rouhani's visit. Iranian American supporters of the opposition People's Mujahedin Organization of Iran rallied for a second day on Wednesday in New York outside the United Nations saying no to Rouhani and voicing their utter opposition to the mullahs regime ruling Iran. The demonstrators demanded the expulsion of Iranian regime president Hassan Rouhani and the mullahs delegation from the UN. The participant in this rally described Rouhani as a representative of a warmongering regime that has the world's highest number of executions per capita. This regime considers its survival conditioned on continual support of terrorism, human rights violations, attacking oil facilities, piracy, and nuclear blackmail. The delegation of such a state should be expelled from the UN immediately. Various posters were held by the protesters emphasizing the UN seat currently held by the Iranian regime should be handed to the Iranian People's Resistance Movement and democratic alternative to the mullahs regime, the NCRI. The Iranian people's right to resistance and overthrowing the mullahs' inhumane dictatorship should be acknowledged, they added. US imposing sanctions on Chinese entities over Iranian oil. The United States is imposing sanctions on certain Chinese entities for knowingly transferring oil from Iran. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said in what he called fresh actions to intensify pressure on Iran's regime. Speaking at an event on the sidelines of United Nations General Assembly, Pompeo also said Washington was going to ramp up efforts to educate countries on the risks of doing business with the Iranian regime's Revolutionary Guards to disentangle them from the Iranian economy. UK blasts Iran regime for violating international law with armed attack on Saudi Arabia. The British government has carefully and independently come to the conclusion that Iran's regime was responsible for this month's missile strike on Saudi oil facilities. The UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab told the House of Commons on Wednesday, "As the UK government, we took our time to assess the facts carefully and independently. We are now confident that Iran was responsible. The evidence is clear and there is no plausible alternative explanation," he said, adding, "This conduct amounts to an armed attack on Saudi Arabia, a violation of one of the basic principles of international law under the United Nations Charter." He told Parliament, "Iran's record of respect for the basic rules of international law is woeful and it is getting worse." U.S. bars some Iranian regime officials and their families from entry. President Donald Trump on Wednesday gave the State Department the authority to bar senior Iranian regime officials and their family members from entering the United States as immigrants or non-immigrants, the White House said in a proclamation. The proclamation posted on the White House website and bearing Wednesday date repeated U.S. accusations that Iran's regime sponsors terrorism, arbitrarily detains American citizens, threatens its neighbors, and carries out destructive cyber attacks.